I just wanted to give you a sense of my typical setup for a sound bath, and this is mostly what I use for every session. So you can piece together whatever instruments that you're resonating with and whatever you're building a relationship with in your quiver of instruments, and then build your sets from there. So I have this arrangement of instruments, and that's what I work with. So I arranged like the sound bath like a 90-minute song basically, and I start with the ocean drum typically. But before the ocean drum, I do sort of this kind of hypnosis yoga nidra technique where I'm playing both the koshi chimes and the tingshu bells like this. And I'm telling people to relax. I'm doing like a yoga nidra technique until we've done like a full body scan. And then maybe I'll do a quick accent with the F sharp. This is an F sharp crystal singing bowl. And then I'll start into the ocean drum. And I'll do that for about 10 minutes. And by that time, so say I start the sound bath at 7 p.m. By the time I'm done the ocean drum, it's usually about 7:25, 7:30. And then I switch to the gongs. I spend about 30 minutes on the gongs. So that puts me at 8 p.m. And then from 8 to about 8:10, I usually play the shruti box with my vocal overtoning. And then I start on the Tibetan singing bowls. And then I go from the Tibetan singing bowls to the chimes. And I don't really play the Tibetan singing bowls very long. It's usually about maybe 2 minutes. I spend the least amount of time on the Tibetan singing bowls, and I just strike them like that and let it ring out. And that's after about a minute or two of total silence after I play the shruti box. And by the way, silence in a sound bath is very important. I don't know if you're aware of that, but it's important to let the vibrations settle and have periods of silence in between most of when you're transitioning from, like, say, the gongs to the shruti box like I do. I usually leave about 2 minutes of total silence in the room before I start playing the next portion of the sound bath. And that just really helps down-regulate the nervous system, I find, and just gives everyone kind of a breather, especially if you're playing the gongs. The gongs can be very intense for people, a lot of energy, a lot of maybe stuck emotions are coming through, and they're dealing with a lot of shadowy stuff perhaps. It's important just to have that little break before you go into the next part. Yeah, so I spend very little time on my Tibetan singing bowls, and then I go into flute playing. So I'll start playing the flute, and I just make up a little song. I kind of improvise. There's no specific song I'm playing. I'm just making notes with the flute, sort of like just. And then I just keep going like that for maybe 3 or 4 minutes. Lately, I've been ending with the rap. I used to start the whole session with like this shamanic sort of ikaro technique that I learned from one of my mentors in the shamanic apprenticeship, and I've been ending with that, and that's been working really well lately. And then I'll play my song. I have a whole playlist on Spotify that I like a song. I think it would do well at the end of a sound bath, so I save the song on Spotify, and then I just have like this playlist, and I choose different songs depending on kind of what I'm feeling at the time or what the room feels like. I'll play a song that kind of fits the vibe, and that'll take 5 minutes or so, maybe 5 to 7 minutes. And by that time, I've smudged the room, the music's played, I turn down the sound or the music and leave them in silence again. And then after about a minute or two of silence, that's when I start bringing them out of the sound bath by sort of like what you would experience in a yoga class after a nice deep shavasana. I mean, really, this is what a sound bath is a big long shavasana, really, right? So I treat it like the end of a yoga class in a way. And so I just tell people to wiggle their fingers and toes, start bringing movement to their head, rocking it side to side, have a stretch, bring the knees into the chest, rock side to side. And then I get them to roll onto one side and just rest in fetal position. And then at that point, I might speak some words of wisdom that I've been learning about recently, or I ask them to set an intention at the beginning of the sound bath. So at the end of the sound bath, I say, return to your intention from the beginning, and maybe feel into a sense of gratitude. And then at that point, lately, I have been just letting people stay laying down and get up at their own pace, and that's the end of the sound bath. And I find that's a nice way to end. Just let them stay lying down, and then there's no rush to get up, and they can get up kind of at their own pace, depending on how deep they went and if they don't feel like moving so quickly, which is quite typical. Or I might get them to sit upright, and then we'll all together chant together with the inner sound healing instrument, the voice. And I think that's a really also a beautiful way to end a sound bath, is just get everyone resonating with their voice, with a big symphonic collective om. Maybe do 3 rounds of om, similar to like the end of a yoga class. That happens a lot, where you just go om, and everyone together. And then I just say, thank you so much for joining me. It's my pleasure to share this experience, and I hope you have a wonderful deep sleep tonight, and namaste, or be blessed, or whatever you want to say. And then that's when I make some announcements. This is an opportune time to mention when the next sound bath is going to be at that location. So make sure to mention that. That plants a little seed in their head to sign up for the next one. And I find, a lot of people, I get a lot of repeat people at the same location because I do that. And then I tell them to follow me on Instagram or Facebook. You want to keep these people, you want to build a relationship with these people. So you want them to know how to find you online, so that they'll always know, once they're following you on Instagram, for example, they'll always know when your next events are coming up. And then I invite people to come and see me if they have any questions or they want to share their experience. That's another way to like build rapport with your people, your followers, and strengthen that relationship with people, and start building those kind of, your raving fans or your loyal customers. So arranging your sound bath, it comes with doing it over and over again until you figure out what works for you and what works for the people receiving. So the best way to try out arrangements is just to keep doing it, and keep going with your one-on-one sessions with people, and you'll find over time your arrangements will change. You'll probably find an arrangement that you really like and that you want to stick with, and maybe you'll work out like a template, like I've done. I have a 90-minute sort of template where I have a beginning, middle, and end. So I know what I do to drop people into deep relaxation and to receive the sound. I know what I'm going to do, generally speaking, within the sound bath portion of the event. And I also know what I'm going to do to bring people out of the experience as well, like slowly bring them out at the end. So just figure out a technique that works for you, and the best way to do it is just to do it.